All right. Hello, everyone. I'm continuing now with my narration of B2, The Keep on the Borderlands. I read about 3.5 pages the first video, and we ended on the section called Time. I'll be reading about 3.5 pages, and we'll be ending on page 8, which is Areas of the Keep. So that's where we'll end today. I also wanted to mention, I'm going to put the links in the description below. There are 2 good reviews of B2, The Keep on the Borderlands. One is by the YouTube channel The Lost Adventurer, and the other is by the channel called Roll Stats. Unfortunately, that person is no longer comes on YouTube. His channel's still here though, and I highly recommend his review of B2 because it's really good. Other than that, what else did I want to say? There will be certain words will have an asterisk in them, and I will point that out. An asterisk next to them, in them. Did I say in them? Next to them. And that just means the word is in a glossary at the end of the module where Gary lets you know what these terms mean, which I thought was a nice thing to add for a module like this. Some of the writing here is going to be a little silly at times, in my opinion, and so I might be interjecting things here and there. I guess he felt he needed to explain certain things that seem very obvious now, but I guess at the time they weren't. So with that, I'll start my little background visual here, which I think is very neat looking, and we'll see how this goes. Time. The Dungeon Master is responsible for keeping track of elapsed time. Inside the dungeon, a normal turn is 10 minutes, parentheses, adventure time. A normal turn is determined by the distance the party can travel using the movement table on page 9 of the basic D&D rulebook. For example, a party whose slowest member moves at 120 feet per turn would travel 120 feet in a turn. And then he further clarifies it. When the party has mapped 120 feet of dungeon, 1 turn has elapsed, in case you weren't sure. Okay, if fighting should occur, the time reference shifts to a melee turn, which is subdivided into 10 10-second melee rounds. The concept of a melee turn is designed to simulate the quick exchange of blows in combat. Now, Basic apparently did it this way. I don't remember these rules. In AD&D, a combat round was a minute, which we all thought was awkward, and we ended up making it into 10-second rounds. Okay, for the sake of convenience, a DM can consider 1 entire melee turn to equal 1 normal turn. That is 10 minutes. No matter how many melee rounds the combat took. The extra time is spent recovering one's breath, checking for wounds, resharpening blunted weapons, etc. The actual, parentheses, clock time, length of a turn varies. A turn might take longer than 10 actual minutes, particularly if extensive combat has taken place. On the other hand, a turn may be quite short in actual time, if the party is heading back through a previously mapped area. In general, a party should rest and sleep 8 hours in every 24. Prudent player characters will sleep in shifts with a guard always awake. Remember that player characters heal 1 to 3 points naturally every 24 hours of full rest. Now, that's interesting. 24 hours of full rest. We just did 8 hours when we played. And of course, in AD&D, you only heal 1 point per 24 hours of rest. At least that's how I think the rules said it that way. All right, dividing treasure and computing experience. And this one is a little silly at times, I thought. See what you think. After the party exits the dungeon safely, all surviving player characters should divide up treasure and be awarded their experience points. Talk about an ominous statement. All surviving characters. That's wow. Division of treasure is the player's responsibility. Awarding experience points is the dungeon master's responsibility. Ideally, treasure should be divided equally among surviving player characters. Again, surviving player characters. Boy, people are just going to die in this game. With henchmen and hirelings usually receiving an equal share, minus any advance payment already given them. Magical items are generally given only to character classes that could use them, in case you weren't sure of that. I don't know why he felt he needed to say that. I guess there was a reason back then. For example, a fighter should take a magical sword as part of his or her share in preference to a scroll. Okay. Non-magical treasure is usually divided first, since it is easier to divide equally. It is seldom possible to divide magic items equally. A suggested solution to division of magic items is to have each character roll percentile dice and let the highest score have first pick, second highest score second pick, and so on until there are no more magical items. That sentence implies there are a bunch of magical items, which I always thought was a little odd, especially in some of Gary's modules. Henchmen and hirelings may or may not be excluded from an equal chance for a magic item. If they are excluded, a DM should note the fact and take it into account when it next comes time to test the henchman's or hireling's loyalty. For example, a party consisting of a fighter, a magic user, and a hireling, all first level, arrives safely back at the keep. Their recovered treasure equals 520 gold pieces, 1,000 silver pieces, a necklace worth 400 gold pieces, and a +1 sword, and a ring of water walking. Because, yeah, those rings of water walking, you find those a lot when you go adventuring, along with that +1 sword. Okay, ring of water walking. Again, I think Gary did that because he likes pointing out some of his more interesting magical items. He likes including them in his modules. I don't know if that's a way of marketing. I don't know what his strategy was there, but that was an interesting one. Ring of water walking. Okay. I don't think we've ever used one in our gaming. I'm sure some people have. All right, continuing. The total value of all non-magical treasure is 1,020 gold pieces. Without selling the necklace, it would be impossible for the party to split the treasure equally. The two player characters compromise by giving the necklace to the hireling to ensure his loyalty with a greater share of treasure. Now, I like that sentence. That's pretty interesting. They each take only 310 gold pieces, but the magic user keeps the ring and the fighter keeps the sword. Okay, experience points are awarded by the DM to player characters on the basis of non-magical treasure recovered and monsters killed or overcome. Experience points for recovered treasure are calculated at 1 experience point for every gold piece worth of non-magical treasure. We ended up eventually cutting that in half. You get a half a point and even a third at one point because treasure could really get you a ton of experience points. I'm curious what you all did with experience points with treasure, because a lot of people think it makes no sense to give experience points for treasure, and I don't think they do that anymore in the current edition. Pretty sure they don't. Experience points for monsters overcome or killed is calculated by using the experience points for monsters overcome chart on page 11 of the basic Dungeons & Dragons rulebook. I just love that there's a table in the basic Dungeons & Dragons rulebook called the experience points for monsters overcome. It's all in bold, so I assume that's the official name of that table. I don't have a copy of the basic rulebook. I used to a long time ago. No clue. Probably sold it. Who knows? Unless a player character has earned extra treasure through the use of his or her class abilities, for example, a thief who steals treasure which he did not report to the party, the DM should divide the experience points earned through treasure recovery equally among all surviving party members. Since, in the above example, the entire party recovered 1,020 gold pieces worth of non-magical treasure, the fighter and the magic user each received 340 experience points for the treasure recovered. The hireling receives half normal experience, since presumably he was only following orders and not doing his own thinking. Okay, that's an interesting explanation. The hireling thus receives only 170 experience points for recovered treasure. To recover the treasure, it was necessary for the party members to kill 19 orcs, 7 skeletons, and an ogre. The party should receive 10 points of experience for each orc killed. as orcs have 1 hit die. 5e players are going, what? 10 points? What? The party should receive 5 experience points for each skeleton. For killing the an undead is worth half an orc. Okay. For killing the ogre, they should receive 125 experience points, since it has 4 + 1 hit dice, plus 75 further experience points, since it does more than normal damage due to its large size and great strength. The total experience points for overcoming monsters would be 425. When this is divided, the magic user and fighter each receive 142 additional experience points. I'm already confused. The hireling receives only 1/2, 71 additional experience points. The total experience for each player character is 482, 340 plus 142 experience points apiece. The hireling receives 241 experience points. When enough experience points are accumulated, a player character rises to the next higher level and gains the benefits of that level, an additional hit die, a new spell, etc. Earned wealth can be used to purchase new equipment, to pay for everyday expenses, and to attract hirelings. So apparently there's no training in basic. Again, I'm not fully up to speed on basic rules, partly because it's been so long since I've read through them, but I used to just read through them somewhat. But we talked about training when I first played this game, and they were the one guy was explaining to us how training works. So I think a lot of crossover happened with basic and advanced D&D. Preparation for the use of the module. The use of this module first requires a working familiarity with its layout and design. Therefore, the first step is to completely read through the module, referring to the maps provided to learn the locations of the various features. A second, parentheses, and third, reading will be helpful in learning the nature of the monsters, their methods of attack and defense, and the treasures provided. Certain buildings of the keep will frequently be visited by the adventurers, such as the Traveler's Inn, Taverner, and Provisioner. Floor plans are very useful in visualizing these areas. For information on their preparation, refer to the section entitled Designing Floor Plans near the end of the module. Once you are familiar with the areas described in the module and have drawn whatever additional plans you wish, assist the players in preparing their characters by reading them the section entitled Background. This will set the stage for the game, and we will be reading background very shortly. After the background is given, the players may prepare their characters. Full details are given in the basic D&D book. A written record of each character should be kept by the players. As an alternative to rolling up new characters, the players may, parentheses, at the DM's option, select characters from the NPC list in this module, and NPC has an asterisk next to it. Note that the personalities given are for the DM's use with NPCs only and are not to be used by the players. Before the players enter the keep, the DM may privately give each player one rumor about the Caves of Chaos. This information may be shared or kept secret, as the players wish. The DM should avoid interfering with their choices, whatever the result. Additional information may be gathered in the keep itself. Use the rumors table in the DM notes about the keep. For this purpose, or create your own based on the caves. Let me read that last sentence again. Additional information may be gathered in the keep itself, semicolon, use the rumors table in the DM notes about the keep for this purpose, or create your own based on the caves. To start an adventure outside the keep, the players must decide on an order of march. Who will be in the first rank, middle, and at the rear of the party? This should be drawn on a sheet of paper and given to the DM for his or her reference. Any changes in the order, due to injuries, special procedures, etc., should be noted on the sheet as they occur. In a standard 10-foot wide corridor, the most common arrangement is 2 adventurers, side by side, in each rank. However, 3 characters could occupy a single rank if all of their weapons were small, such as daggers and hand axes. And I would add, or if some are halflings or dwarves or such. One player in the group should be selected as leader and caller for the party. Another 1 or 2 should take care of necessary mapping. Individual players may decide on their actions. That sentence is all capitalized. Individual players may decide on their actions. But it is the caller who gives the DM the details on the party's course of action, such as, we'll head down the eastern corridor. The caller should discuss the party's actions with the players and inform the DM of the decisions of the group. When a player speaks and indicates that an action is being taken, it has begun. Those 3 words are all in bold. Even if the player changes his mind. Use your discretion in these cases and remember that the DM has the final say in all matters. Okay. The players should use graph paper to map the areas being explored. Have them indicate which direction is north and use compass directions to describe details and direction of travel. We'll go west and turn north at the next intersection. Use the same method to describe areas to them. You see a corridor which goes about 30 feet south and then turns west. Be sure to keep your descriptions accurate, though you may say such things as about 40 feet, especially in open areas or when describing irregular surfaces. Players will often show you their map and ask, "Is this right?" Do not correct their mistakes unless the error would be obvious in the eyes of the adventurers. And remember that, in most cases, maps do not have to be exact. Encourage good mapping skills and an attention to detail, and avoid falling into a rut of continually answering map questions. Exploration of the Caves of Chaos will take more than 1 game session. When the players want to stop play, they must find an exit. If we want to stop, well, you're going to have to find an exit. Wow. And preferably return to the keep. That's an interesting ruling on his part, I thought. You can't just stop the game. Each may divide treasure and you may divide treasure and award experience when this occurs. Remember to make adjustments to the areas they visited. The monsters may build new defenses, reoccupy areas that were cleaned out, and so forth. If the adventurers wish to stop exploring temporarily for a rest period, for example, the customary 8 hours rest each night, they should tell the DM exactly where they plan to stay and who is standing guard. Just as with marching order, it is important that the guard and sleeping positions be noted on paper, since this may be crucial if and when a monster approaches. During play, make careful notes on the monsters killed, the amount of treasure taken, experience gained, and any other details of interest. It is then a simple matter to compute the totals at the end of a play session. See the section of this module entitled Dividing Treasure and Computing Experience for more information. That section that we literally just read. It's like 1 page over. Okay. Okay, here is the background. So now this is what the Dungeon Master would read. I would change this, but here it is. This is fun. Background. The realm of mankind is narrow and constricted. Always the forces of chaos press upon its borders, seeking to enslave its populace, rape its riches, and steal its treasures. Those are 2 different things. Rape its riches and steal its treasures. Okay, I'm just checking. If it were not for a stout few, many in the realm would indeed fall prey to the evil which surrounds them. Yet there are always certain exceptional and brave members of humanity, as well as similar individuals among its allies, dwarves, elves, and halflings, who rise above the common level and join battle to stave off the darkness which would otherwise overwhelm the land. Bold adventurers from the realm set off for the Borderlands to seek their fortune. It is these exceptional individuals who, provided they survive the challenge, carry the battle to the enemy. Such adventurers meet the forces of chaos in a testing ground where only the fittest will return to relate the tale. Here, these exceptional individuals will become skilled in their calling, be it fighter or magic user, cleric or thief. They will be tried in the fire of combat. Those who return, hardened and more fit. True, some few who do survive the process will turn from law and good and serve the masters of chaos. But most will remain faithful and ready to fight evil if threatens to infect the realm. Okay, oh my God, we might turn to chaos. Careful. It is kind of fun though. You are indeed members of that exceptional class. Adventurers who have journeyed to the keep on the Borderlands in search of fame and fortune. Of course, you are inexperienced, but you have your skills and a heart that cries out for adventure. Okay, he's really milking it here. You have it in you to become great, but you must gain experience and knowledge and greater skill. There is much to learn, and you are willing and eager to be about it. Oh, thank God we're willing and eager, because I wasn't sure if we were. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Each of you, and I love this module. Don't think I'm mocking this module in a negative way. I think this module is the best ever written. It's just really funny how some of these sentences are written. Each of you has come with everything which could possibly be given you to help. Now you must fend for yourselves. You're on your own, boys. Your fate is in your hands, for better or worse. Ahead, up the winding road, atop a sheer walled mount of stone, looms the great keep. There, at one of civilization's bulwarks, there's an asterisk for that word, beneath good lands and bad, you will base yourselves and equip for forays against the wicked monsters who lurk beyond. Somewhere nearby, amidst the dark forests and tangled fens, are the caves of chaos, where fell creatures lie in wait. So clearly, the party has come here and they know about, there's a place called the caves of chaos. That's what you know. Somehow you've picked up this information, because he mentions it here. Somewhere nearby. It's somewhere. So that's why you've come here, to seek it out. All this you know, but before you dare adventure into such regions, you must become acquainted with the other members of your group, for each life will depend upon the ability of the others to cooperate against the common foe. See, and I really wish that people play, this is how people would play D&D. I always want to play as, we're a group, we're in this together. You know, the whole all for one and one for all, because I believe in that. And I think D&D is much more fun when we play as a group, working to help each other, to succeed as a group, to stop the individual me stuff, because it really gets annoying when you play D&D with selfish players. I don't know who would disagree with that. Now, before you enter the grim fortress, is the time for introductions and an exchange of information. For fate seems to have decreed that you are to become an adventurous band who must pass through many harrowing experiences together on the path which leads towards greatness. A lot of that is really cool, but some of it was a little sappy. But overall, it was a pretty cool background. All right, now we reach the section called Start. You have traveled for many days. I think the DM would still be reading this, leaving the realm and entering into the wilder area of the Borderlands. Farms and towns have become less frequent and travelers few. The road has climbed higher as you enter the forested and mountainous country. You now move up a narrow, rocky track. A buttress, like wall of stone, is of natural stone, is on your left. The land falling away to a sheer cliff on the right. There is a small widening ahead, where the main gate to the keep is. The blue-clad men-at-arms, who guard the entrance, shout at you to give your names and state your business. All along the wall, you see curious faces peering down at you, eager to welcome new champions of law, but ready with crossbow and polearm, asterisk for polearm, to give another sort of welcome to enemies. DM note: have each player identify his or her character's name and profession. Have them answer in their own words why they seek entrance to the place. If the answer sounds unnatural, assume the role of the corporal of the watch and begin to cross-examine the speaker. Now is the time to make the players realize that whatever they say as speech or relating their actions will be noted by you as dungeon master and acted upon accordingly in whatever role is appropriate to the situation. A courteous and full reply might well win a friend amongst the soldiers who might be of aid sometime. Rudeness and discourtesy may bring suspicion and enemies to trouble the course of things within the otherwise safe base area. When you are satisfied that the scene is played out, have the group enter. Notes. DM notes about the keep. There are 5 notes. Note number 1. This whole place is well organized for security and for defense. In time of need, I consider it an impenetrable fortress if you look at the map. Not sure how anybody could really get in it. I guess there's a way, but it would be very hard. In time of need, many civilians will arm and help man the walls, while non-combatants bring ammunition, food, and water to the walls and help the wounded. Sentries are alert. A patrol of guards makes a round of the walls, but irregularly, and a command type checks every half hour to hour. It is very unlikely that persons can enter or leave without being seen, unless magic is used. You can have magic mouth spells placed in key areas to shout "Alarm!" whenever an invisible creature passes within 10 feet or so. Within the keep itself, we never did that. Did anybody do that? Magic mouth, the yell alarm, because people were walking through it invisibly? I wonder if anyone's had that happen. I'd love to hear about that. Within the keep itself, the townspeople are generally law-abiding and honest. Boorishness and ill manners will be frowned upon. If any member of a party should be caught in a criminal act, the alarm will be sounded instantly. Citizens will try to prevent the escape of any lawbreakers, without sacrificing their lives, until the guard arrives in 1 to 2 turns. Isn't that like 10 to 20 minutes? That's a long time to wait, isn't it? If met with resistance, I would think 1 to 2 rounds, or maybe 1 to 4 rounds. If met with resistance, the guard will not hesitate to use force, even killing if they must. Those offenders taken prisoner will be locked in the dungeon under the keep and punished for their crimes. Now there's a little symbol here, and this symbol indicates a ballista, a huge, heavy crossbow manned by 2 men. It fires like a heavy crossbow, but has a range of 480 feet, hits as if it were fired by a fighter of 1st to 3rd level, and does 2 6-sided dice of damage plus 2 points. That's 4 to 14 points of damage per hit. Each ballista has 12 missiles. They may only be fired once every 4 rounds, requiring 3 rounds to prepare and 1 to fire. The next symbol indicates a light catapult with a range of 241 to 480 feet, which fires half as often as a ballista, once per 8 rounds. Each requires 2 crewmen to operate. Hits as if fired by a normal man, but can hit 1 to 6 targets in any close group, or 1 large target. For 1 6-sided die of damage each, for 1 6-sided die of damage each, parentheses, 6 dice if 1 large target. There is ammunition for 6 catapult shots per machine. Note number 2. Floor plans might be useful. Note that most areas have 2 or more stories, and there is furniture in the rooms not shown. Also left out are details of heating, light, and descriptive touches, such as color, rafters, decoration, etc. If you have time, floor plans and detailing of each area might be very helpful, exceptionally so in places frequented by the adventurers. See the appendix covering this near the end of the module. And let me just ask right here, did any of you do that? Did any of you really detail all the stuff Did some of you go to great lengths like that? I'd love to hear in the comments what you all did when you ran this as a dungeon master or as players. Maybe I'll share some of my stuff at some point. Note 3. Information from inhabitants of the keep might be gained by player characters. You may give one rumor at random using D20 to each player as starting information. Other rumors may be keyed to other persons in the keep. For example, talking with the taverner at area number 15 might reveal either rumor number 18 or number 19. He will give the true rumor if his reaction is good. Do not give out all the rumors. You may add whatever false rumors you wish, but adding to the amount of true information is not recommended. I'm not quite sure why. I guess you don't want to give out too much information. The false rumors are noted by an F after the number. I will say which ones have F. Rumor number 1. A merchant imprisoned in the caves will reward his rescuers. Number 2 is false. A powerful magic user will rain spells on cave invaders. Okay. That one's possible. I would consider that a possible true rumor if I'm hearing it. Number 3. Tribes of different creatures live in different caves. Okay. 4. An ogre sometimes helps the cave dwellers. I like that rumor. That's a good one. Number 5. A magic wand was lost in the caves area. That's good. That's an interesting one. 6 is false. All of the cave entrances are trapped. That's actually a pretty good false rumor, I guess. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out who would say these rumors and why. That to me, it always felt like you shouldn't just roll. There has to be a reason why the person's telling you the rumor and which rumor they're telling you. It has to make sense to me, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Number 7, if you get lost, beware the eater of men. Oh, now that's good. Number 8, altars are very dangerous. Oh God, it's an altar. Run. I love that one. Number 9 is false. A fair maiden is imprisoned within the caves. Really? That's false? Come on. How can there not be a fair maiden imprisoned in the caves? Oh well. Number 10 is false, and it's the most famous rumor of B2. Briark is goblin language for "we surrender." And then they yell out Briark, and the party thinks they're surrendering, but it means attack. That's just a fun rumor. I see why it's the most famous. Number 11, beware of treachery from within the party. Who is the bartender telling you this, I guess? I don't. That's a weird one to me. Does that one make sense to anybody? Number 12, the big dog men live very high in the caves. Number 13, there are hordes of tiny dog men in the lower caves. I like that those two are next to each other. It's very interesting. 14 is a false rumor. Piles of magic armor are hoarded in the southern caves. Who's going to believe that rumor? Would anyone believe that? And how would they know it's piles of magic armor? See, that's just odd to me. 15 is false. The bugbear in the caves are afraid of dwarves. Now, I think that's a good rumor. That's neat if they're afraid of dwarves, but they're not. 16, lizard men live in the marshes. That seems very reasonable, and of course it's true. Number 17, an elf once disappeared across the marshes. That's one of my favorite rumors in this list. Number 18, beware the mad hermit of the Northlands. Ooh, that's a good one. 19 is false. Nobody has ever returned from an expedition to the caves. I think that's pretty easy to figure out that that's false. I don't think it would take long to figure that out, since people will say things about the caves. Oh, so you've been there, which means you've returned. Yeah, right. Number 20, there is more than one tribe of orcs within the caves. That's a decent rumor to have, you know. Then you'd start wondering, what about the other monsters? All right, note number 4. We got 2 more notes here, and then we'll be done. Note number 4, entrance to the inner bailey, asterisk for bailey, can be gained if the adventurers perform a heroic act in behalf of the keep, if they bring back an exceptional trophy or valuable prisoners, or if they contribute a valuable magic item, or 1,000 or more gold pieces to the place. Wow, contributing 1,000 gold will get them into the inner bailey. And I find some of this to be interesting, and I'm curious what you all think about this. Let me just finish reading it, and I'll discuss this. They will be invited to a feast and revel, and then closely watched and carefully questioned. If the Castellan, I call it a Castellan because that's what our DM referred to him as, the Castellan, but I think the correct pronunciation is Castellan, but I say Castellan, and again, there's an asterisk for Castellan. If the Castellan likes the looks of the group and his assistants agree, he will ask them to perform a special mission. Now I find this interesting. Parentheses, suitable to their ability, but difficult. Use the area map or the Caves of Chaos to find a suitable goal. On the other hand, if they are rude or behave badly, he will simply retire early, ending the revel, and they will never be aided or invited back. If they try to steal or are threatening, the group will be attacked and killed immediately. If this can be managed, of course. All right. I find it interesting, like what kind of mission would make sense that he would send them on. But let me finish this paragraph here, this next paragraph. Groups sent on a mission will be blessed, so the bless spell, and given, but that only lasts like 6 rounds, and given up to 100 gold pieces each for any needed supplies. So you're going to give every person in the party 100 gold pieces. See that? Just throwing money around like that it seems weird to me too. If they succeed, they will be given passes to the inner bailey and can ask the Castellan, I'm going to say Castellan, for aid if there is a major foe to overcome in the caves area. Okay, if they're asking him, he will send a minimum of 1 corporal and 3 archers in plate. So if you run into the Minotaur or Bugbear, the Owlbear, you could ask for help and he'll give it to you now. Or at maximum, the sergeant, a corporal, and a 12 men-at-arms. All right, I guess that makes sense. Did this happen with anyone? We didn't have any of this happen, but it sounds really interesting. And lastly, note number 5. After the normal possibilities of this module are exhausted, you might wish to continue to center the action of your campaign around the keep by making it the base for further adventures, which you may devise. Now, this I think is fantastic. This is just perfect. You can just keep this campaign going, which makes perfect sense. For example, assuming that the group has done good service for the Castellan, have a large force of bandits move into the area and then appoint the group to command an expedition of keep troops, mercenaries, and so on to wipe them out. Or the party might become traders operating out of the place, hoping to find adventures as they travel in the surrounding area. Now that confused me. If you're traders operating out of the place, how are you going adventuring in the surrounding area? Are you doing both? Are you like splitting up the party? Half stays in the keep and runs their trader shop while the other half goes adventuring? I'm not quite sure on that one. Did that happen with anybody? But this idea of expanding and just continuing, there's no reason to send them to another module somewhere else in the world. You can, but the fact that you can now make up more stuff on your own. And if you have the big Goodman Games book, they created a lot of alternate encounter areas in the wilderness. Some of them are pretty interesting. I kind of like them. I recommend that book if you don't have it. So we're going to stop there. I'm going to stop there. I hope you're enjoying this. I'd love to talk B2 with people. Check my story, Forestera's Fate, on my channel. It's in a playlist. You'll find it easily. I think you'll enjoy it. It's D&D in story form. And I will talk to you all later on.